climate disaster.
Changing precipitation patterns.
Raging wildfires.
Failing aquifers.
One animal stands in defiance to these challenges and looks forward with determination to restore the degraded waterways of California and abroad.
Beavers are ecosystem engineers and a keystone species in the riparian habitats they help create. Being an ecosystem engineer means that they are one of the only animals who will drastically change the environment around them to better suit their survival. This change comes from their innate instinct to stop flowing water through dam building. A beaver dam provides complexity to stream morphology, creates breeding areas for amphibians, habitat for salmon and aquatic species, increases surface water area, creates wetlands, improves aquifer recharge and carbon sequestration through these wetlands, creates larger riparian areas spreading out water and creating more effective wildfire breaks, and a whole host of other environmental functions. They also serve a huge hydrological function in their local watersheds, slowing water periods down, reducing erosion, and being a source of water to maintain stream flows during dry periods. The critical role of the animals within the waterways of Northern America is not to be understated. They numbered in the hundreds of millions upon the arrival of Europeans, and the National Park Service goes as far as to call beavers nothing less than continent-scale forces of nature, in part responsible for sculpting the land upon which Americans have built their communities and infrastructure since.
Beavers were once widespread across California, from coastal streams to the rivers of the Sacramento and San Joaquin watersheds. Archaeological evidence and records show they occupied waterways throughout the state. Yet in 1940, zoologists hired by California's Wildlife Agency concluded that beavers had only lived in the Central Valley, the Colorado River, and far northern California. That error shaped management decisions for decades. A 2013 review corrected the record, confirming that beavers were a common and influential presence across California riparian landscapes. Their remains appear in indigenous archaeological sites, and native place names and rock art reflect their importance long before European colonization. From the Mojave to the marshlands, beavers once thrived here. In the 1800s, the fur trade nearly erased them. Intensive trapping during the gold rush and policies that labeled them pests devastated populations. Without their dams to slow and spread water, streams incised, wetlands vanished, and salmon lost critical habitat. Today, as the climate intensifies drought and wildfire, California urgently needs the benefits beavers provide. Their dams expand surface water, recharge aquifers, maintain stream flow, and strengthen fire-resistant corridors. Restoring beavers, or mimicking their techniques, offers one of the state's most powerful nature-based climate solutions.
Assembly Bill 2196 was introduced in February of 2024 during the 2023 to 2024 California legislative session. The bill was authored by Assembly Member Damon Canali. The bill was introduced after the Department of Fish and Wildlife created a beaver restoration program through the state budget process in 2022. The reason the legislation wanted to formally codify the program was because budget programs are vulnerable to funding changes and political shifts. Codifying the program in statute would protect it from any administrative reversal.
Before AB 2196, beaver restoration efforts in California were already underway, but they operated in a limited and somewhat uncertain framework. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife had begun developing the beaver restoration program as part of the state budget in 2022, recognizing the important ecological role beavers play in watershed health. Without the beaver restoration program being written into law, the program depended heavily on annual funding decisions. This made it difficult to guarantee long-term planning, expand restoration efforts, or coordinate statewide projects.
Assembly Bill 2196 changed the program by formally establishing the Beaver Restoration Program into California law. The bill directs the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to promote beaver restoration across the state by coordinating restoration projects, relocating beavers into suitable watersheds, and developing policies for managing human-beaver conflicts. The legislation also encourages collaboration between state agencies, nonprofit organizations, tribes, academic institutions, and other partners involved in watershed restoration. By expanding participation and creating structured training and permitting systems, the law allows more groups to assist in beaver relocation and habitat restoration.
Another important aspect that the law introduced to the beaver restoration program is its emphasis on non-lethal management strategies. Instead of relying primarily on removal or depredation permits, the program promotes coexistence tools that allow beavers to remain in ecosystems while reducing risks to infrastructure or private property. By codifying the program in statute, AB 2196 provides a stable framework for long-term restoration projects and strengthens California's commitment to ecosystem-based watershed management. The law made it so the beaver restoration program has a guaranteed future and can continue improving the health of ecosystems statewide.
Beaver restoration is a nature-based watershed management strategy that restores ecological processes by supporting beaver populations and mimicking their natural dam-building behavior. Through techniques such as beaver relocation, habitat assessment, and non-lethal conflict management, the program helps rebuild wetlands, slow water flow, and reconnect floodplains. These processes improve groundwater recharge, reduce erosion, and increase biodiversity, which helps watersheds become more resilient to drought and flooding. One of the policy's greatest strengths is its cost effectiveness. Unlike traditional gray infrastructure, beavers maintain and repair their own dams, creating long-term ecological benefits with minimal ongoing costs. The policy is also flexible and can be applied across a variety of landscapes using coexistence tools that reduce conflicts with landowners.
However, challenges remain. Beaver translocation does not always guarantee successful establishment, and conflicts with landowners may still occur. Restoration outcomes can also vary depending on watershed conditions and long-term funding support. Despite these limitations, AB 2196 provides a strong legal foundation for expanding beaver restoration across California and supporting more resilient ecosystems, which in turn improves the health of California's watersheds.
Audrey, it is so great to get the chance to talk to you. You're the executive director of the Slow Beaver Brigade. So I was wondering if we could just get started by asking, how did the Beaver Brigade begin and what is its purpose?
The Slow Beaver Brigade is a nonprofit focused on watershed restoration and climate resilience here in San Luis Obispo County. We work to protect beavers and help people understand the role they play in healthy ecosystems. The organization really began when people started noticing the beavers along the Salinas River and places like Pismo Creek. They were restoring those systems on their own, fitting into the role they've always had here. A small group of us realized how important this was and wanted to help protect those populations, while also educating the community. Like many environmentally conscious people, we felt that we were not doing enough in the face of climate change. The Beaver Brigade is helping us make our impact.
That's wonderful. Moving forward, we've talked a lot about the benefits of beavers and all of their ecological benefits they can provide for the state. Where do you guys fit in?
Where we fit in is really at the local level. State policies and restoration programs create the framework, but the work actually happens in communities and watersheds. Our role is helping demonstrate how beaver restoration works on the ground.
Would you mind telling us a little bit on how it's been working?
Ideally, beavers return to watersheds naturally. If their habitat is healthy and lethal management is reduced, they often recolonize areas on their own. This isn't true in California because populations are too small and segmented to effectively recolonize. In many places, the landscape has changed so much and been so degraded that they need a little help. That's where active restoration comes in.
And just quickly, what do you think restoration will look like in our state?
BDAs, I think, are going to be the form in which much of beaver restoration takes place.
And the reason I'm talking to you today is for a project on AB 2196, the bill that recently passed. Has its passing affected your guys' work in any appreciable way recently?
The passage of AB 2196 has been really important because it formally created the Beaver Restoration Program in California. Before that, restoration efforts were more temporary and often depended on short-term funding or complicated permitting. Now there's a clearer framework for collaboration between state agencies, researchers, and local groups like ours. We had a small part, especially on the public relations side of the bill. For many of us, AB 2196 feels like a recognition of our work to bring beavers to the forefront of the climate battle in California.
And why is California, specifically San Luis Obispo, a place that is good to do beaver research and beaver restoration research?
San Luis Obispo County is actually a really interesting place to study beaver restoration because we already have healthy beaver populations living in places like the Salinas River and Pismo Creek. What's remarkable is that many of these populations have persisted without formal restoration programs. This gives researchers a chance to observe how beavers naturally restore riparian systems in a Mediterranean climate like California's, something that is incredibly novel to science. We also have a strong research community here. Cal Poly students and researchers are studying these systems, and the organizations like the Beaver Brigade help connect that research with community education and restoration work.
Thank you, Audrey Taub, and all of the viewers for your time. I hope to see you in the stream someday.
I don't know how to build a dam. I don't know how to build a dam. I don't know how to build a dam.